Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Treasure Travel, and here is her story. Hi, Ollie. The following letter discusses the New York Times bestseller Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. Therefore, I want to give a spoiler alert to those who have not read the book or seen the HBO miniseries starring Amy Adams. I've never even heard of it. Although people are raised by normal parents, will probably find the plot of Sharp Objects to be full of twists and turns. Viewers of this channel will be able to see what is coming. Despite not experiencing the suspense of surprise, we will still feel the full terror. This is because the narcissistic family dynamics will be all too real for us. Realistic horror is always more terrifying than fantasy. The understanding that Munchausen syndrome by proxy is an extreme on the narcissism spectrum rather than a separate disorder is something we discussed in your last video for me titled The Narcissistic Sociopath is Motivated by Pity. The overriding drive on all levels of narcissism is the same, control, and all types of abuse are present to varying degrees throughout the narcissistic spectrum. The dysfunctional family dynamics in a narcissistic matriarchy are also similar across the entire spectrum, and sadly, the narcissist mother's children are always her easiest prey. Although garden variety narcissistic mothers do not literally use rat poison, they poison their children's happiness with emotional abuse. With respect to wielding physical abuse, I think many daily things that appear to be accidental neglect are, in fact, sadistic and Munchausen-esque, such as feeding spoiled foods, leaving the kids without a babysitter, letting the kids swim in white water, failing to take ill children to the doctor, making a child wear painful shoes, not providing feminine hygiene products, etc. The point I'm trying to make here is that slow poison comes in many flavors. Yeah, and these are all things we've discussed. It's all the tactics to let you know I'm better than you. I'm on my high horse. I get, you don't. The character Camille in the book was a willful tomboy as a child and did not submit to her mother wanting to infantilize her by dressing her like a doll and keeping her sick in bed. In the film adaptation, the mother actually tells adult Camille that she did not love her because she did not submit to her. Camille's younger sister, Marion, on the other hand, did whatever mother desired. In a flashback in the movie, we see the mother lovingly but forcibly pulling Marion into her room and shutting the door in Camille's face. Camille is not allowed to go into her mother's elegant room, which is symbolic of the fact that Camille is shut out of her mother's heart. Yeah, and it also lets her know, where not only she's shut out, it's status. You don't belong here. She does. Camille has another sister, Ayman, whereas Camille had boundaries and refused to submit to her mother, whereas Marion wholly submitted. Ayman submits halfway. In a conversation where Camille tells Ayman that she should not let boys have power over her and do sexual things to her, Ayman explains that when you let people do things to you and let them believe they have control, it ironically gives you control over them. Yeah, because Ayman's a covert narcissist. That's why. She's playing both sides. She's actually an enabler, possibly covert narcissist, playing everybody against. Those fence sitters, they're the most dangerous ones. They're the ones who hoover you. They're the ones who serve you up. Ayman knows she's being abused and probably poisoned, but allows it to the extent that she earns her mother's trust. Submitting to her mother halfway serves to appease her mother enough such that Ayman can then manipulate her. Right, because she's a covert narcissist. She's a covert narcissist. So she'll play the mother's game to a certain extent to gain the mother's trust and then take control. That one's the dangerous one. I don't know this story. I never heard of it. I never read it. I haven't watched anything on HBO. And, geez, I think that show Animals is on HBO, that animated one. Other than that, I can't remember the last thing I saw on HBO. The original True Detective, maybe? Marion, on the other hand, was never aware that her mother was poisoning her. Right. And what did Ayman do? Ayman knew she was being poisoned, but she didn't do anything to stop Marion, did she? I don't know. I don't know the story. This is what I'm trying to tell you. When you're describing what you described, like, you know, the passive danger that they put you in, letting you swim in white water, rotten food. Isn't that what Ayman was doing here? Ayman knew she was being poisoned but was controlling it, and she did nothing to prevent her sisters, to warn them. Marion's consequence is death, although recognizing that their mother is abusive saves Camille and Ayman from death. The awareness that their own mother is deliberately abusing them does not love them is devastating and causes severe psychological damage to both. Consequently, Ayman ends up venting her anger on others while Camille turns on herself and cutting and alcohol. Yeah, Ayman becomes the overt narcissist. Is what she was. She watched her sister die and didn't try to warn her. Basic narc mother-daughter dynamic is the same in my family. If you don't submit to my mom's narcissistic standards, you're shut off. I realized 20 years ago that I could not have any type of civil relationship with my mom unless I fully submit to her needs. And your sister is Ayman, playing both sides, knowing the truth, and doing nothing about it, right? So what does that say about your sister then? To be in her good graces, you have to fully submit to being her emotional punching bag, which entails fully absorbing her anger and projection. You're not allowed to have any boundaries. You're not allowed to have a healthy level of self-esteem, and God help you around her if you're happy that day. Another requirement to having a relationship with my mom is that conversations work one way. You listen and keep your mouth shut while she spits vitriol ad nauseum about you, relatives, her neighbors, her doctors, and her goddamn kitchen, etc. She shows no genuine interest in me, my children, or anything positive. Her only interest in any details of my life is to use it as fodder for criticism in the moment and for years to come. I have a vivid memory of her visiting me 18 years ago. She was talking for hours, and my son, then 4 years old, kept pulling on my sleeve, saying, "Mommy, I'm thirsty. Mommy, I'm thirsty." Oh, that. See, now that shit used to drive my mother insane. Not only when you were a kid could you not bother her. Somebody else's, like once, if she was talking to somebody like who had kids and then their kids came up and needed something, completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. No tolerance, including my own daughter. I had been brushing him off most of the day in order to give my mother's monologue my undivided attention, so as to be the obedient and respectful daughter. She was annoyed to be interrupted by her grandson and said he needs to stop trying to get attention. It's the same line, the same behavior as my mother. He actually remembers this particular incident along with other similar interactions with a cold grandmother. You know what the sad thing is? My daughter had to deal with that woman for 15 years. And my brother's sons not even going to have to ever deal with her. Not even going to have to know that chaos. Another covert narc, my brother. Sitting on the fence, knowing the truth the whole time, and doing nothing about it. You know what the sad thing is? My daughter had to deal with that woman for 15 years. And my brother's sons not even going to have to ever deal with her. Not even going to have to know that chaos. Another covert narc, my brother. Sitting on the fence, knowing the truth the whole time, and doing nothing about it. My mom can't tolerate her children if they are more happy or more successful than her in life, or even just in the moment. The pervasiveness of my mom's needs into every interaction is astonishing. For example, my mom once made the word ramekins while playing Scrabble with me and my sister, which earned her an additional 50 bonus points for using all 7 letters in one word. The high-scoring word gave her a guaranteed win early in the game, which allowed her to be comfortable for the remainder of the game and let her negative guard down and be genuinely happy in the moment. I remember it very clear. Yeah, well, as long as you're battling, the narcissist is always going to be happy as long as you're battling for second place. Like, as long as the competition is only for second place, okay, and the narcissist has already won, they're going to be happy. As long as you're battling for second place, they're happy. I remember it very clearly because it was like a Jekyll and Hyde switch was thrown. Maybe it was bizarre to me because I rarely saw my mom genuinely relaxed and happy with her pathological envy at rest. Her frown relaxed and she giggled like a toddler. I actually told my sister while visiting a couple years later that if we played again, we should let Mom win to buy us all a moment of peace. It's not even that. It's not even the winning. It's because she won early and she didn't have to compete in that moment. Once you take away their need to compete, you're battling for second place. She's already proven she's better. That's it. And that should just show you right there what your mother's all about. Right there. Right there. That is your mother's entire personality. As long as you're only battling for second and third place, that's all she cares about. All she cares about is that high horse. That's it. Once she's on her high horse, they're happy. Another unnatural requirement for having a relationship with my mom, and even more so with my narcissist dad, is that when they want to play act nice, happy family, you better drop any thought concern for the crazy that occurred the day or the minute prior. As I matured and set more and more boundaries, my mom pushed me further and further away from her and the family, analogous to what happened to Camille in the book. In hindsight, I can see that this was a blessing in disguise because it spared me volumes of poison. My sister gets an earful about how awful I am personally and how all their family disharmony is my fault. She knows damn well it is lies, yet she listens silently because she fully comprehends the narcissist rules. Because she's like Ayman. Knowing it is wrong but submitting anyway in order to appease the matriarch, like Ayman's behavior in the... I told you that. I told her it is, like Ayman's behavior in the book. Once a decade ago, my sister defended me and got her head bitten off. In that incident, my mom was criticizing me and my family behind my back as usual and said in exasperation, I don't even have a relationship with my grandchildren. And my sister said, and whose fault is that? And my mother went into a fire-breathing rage that frightened my sister back into silence and submission. And she's just playing your mother. She's just picking her spots. Just jabbing her. Letting your mother know she knows. Your mother is always has in the back of her mind with your sister that she knows. And she will fight back if she's pushed too far. Don't think your mother and sister don't have an unsaid understanding. Don't believe that. Unfortunately, my sister is also like the character Marion in that she remains naive of the fact that my mother is killing her. Me and my siblings have all had major health crises young and have worse overall health than my parents or their parents. I am sure this is due to the high stress we have endured since birth. We all suffer from generalized anxiety disorder, which has contributed to my sister's coronary artery disease. The biggest risk factor for heart disease is stress, and this is because the constant fight or flight anxiety pumps cortisol and adrenaline, which causes spikes in blood pressure many times each day, which damages the arterial linings. Even when my mother is not actively berating my sister to her face, my mom's hag voice in my sister's head never misses an opportunity to tell her how worthless and deficient she is. With no self-confidence, we all have very little resilience to be able to emotionally handle life's hard knocks, no matter how small. In this regard, the small poisoning goes on and the slow poisoning goes on and on. Can't make this shit up. Treasure travel. I'd be real careful how you categorize your sister and all this. Your mother gets off on pity. Understand your mother's driven by a lot of her motivation is driven on pity. Okay, and don't think your sister didn't pick up on some of that as well. I'm not saying she doesn't have all these medical issues. Maybe they're not as bad as she makes them out to be. She seems an awful lot like Ayman in the book, where she knows the truth. And it seems to me as long as you're the main target, she's fine. As long as she has you to be the main target, she'll be fine. She's playing her Ayman game, your sister. Yeah, she is. She's playing her Ayman game. Hoping that your mother kills you instead of her. That might be a hard reality to come to, but you bring up this book, and it's describing it. You admit later on that it is your sister, partially and partially the other one who's dying. I don't think so. It's the other one who's dying. It's all Ayman. Your sister probably learned pity from your mother. How to get it, how to derive it, how to benefit off it, may get the max pity benefit off of it. So you need to really, really consider, because your sister knows the truth and she's still dealing with them. Why is she still dealing with them? Because she hopes your mother, because she's Ayman, and she understands what your mother's doing. And she would rather your mother, as long as your mother has the preponderance and the most vitriol for you, she skates by. So I hope that helps. Thank you for another contribution in Story Treasure Travel. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you guys. Without you, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been The Narcissistic Resistance.